Good evening, a warm welcome to our main news bulletin. Here are the top stories making the news tonight. Non-implementation of the revised minimum wage worries ZCTU. SAMPA vows to explore legal action against given LUBINDA and RAPHAEL NAKACINDA. The church condemns the appointment of Jean MAFART as French ambassador to Zambia. And in international news, Amnesty International says COBALT copper mining leading to forced evictions in DR Congo. And in sports news, Italy suspends POGBA after doping accusations. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Do join me with the details shortly.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
And now the news in detail. Traders operating at the frontage of Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia complex in Lusaka's Ibex Hill have appealed to the institution to exercise leniency on its decision to have them removed from the area. According to a notice from the Lusaka City Council, LCC City Planning, the traders have been given up to 28 September 2023 in which to vacate the area as their structures do not have the blessing of the authority. And Area Councillor Shadrach Mwanza says the council's decision arose from a complaint, but says the institution should exercise leniency and hear the cries of the traders as there is no market in Ibex to accommodate them.
Some traders conducting their business at the frontage of the Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia, Siders Complex in Lusaka's Ibex Hill, have appealed to the institution not to remove them from the area. The appeals come in the wake of an eviction notice from the Lusaka City Council LCC dated 8 September for the traders to vacate the area as their structures were erected illegally. However, the aggrieved traders tells Camnet TV News that the move by the council emanated from a complaint by Siders to LCC to have them removed, but should reconsider the decision.
Na 6 years ni polisi achepa mene pano. Ngepana jesera bana. Vili vonse veningafune nipamine hapa parodi. So wakatipisha kuli beko enda. So Siders bamene ndio bamene tinga pempe chape kuti batiganizireko.
Kwa meti ngambe kugulisirako. Dani bakambati no batipishe. Kuno kuli bantu badimakana ko mayezi na mayezi. Wenango ni ma 7 years, wenango 5 years. Then wenango ni ma widows. Bapunsa na bana wamasiye kwa mene kuno. So ngati makambati mutipishe tsenda kuti. Nanga wazimai walibe wazimuna bazashita survive bwanji.
The traders say there is no market in the area where they can conduct their trade, and Siders should consider reallocating them the Far East frontage to conduct their trade.
So what we are asking from Siders, we are begging. We understand that this land doesn't belong to us. It's a front of the offices of the Siders. So we are asking if Siders, they can consider us to remove us from the front of the offices so that they can give us another place there. There's another place there where we can start trading. But if they remove us completely, we have no market. There's no market in Mtendere East, there's no market in Ibex.
Timatandizana na mdara ngati wewe washota na ine na watandizana. So red up anabwera 6 pin and malipira every tape. So manje wakatipisha akateresa kugulisa. Ishi bajabana ku school bazareka.
Karikiriki Area Councillor Shadrach Mwanza has echoed the plea of the traders.
So I think the only appeal that I may make to Siders is that they should look for a way of help assisting those people, because Siders is an organization that is there to assist the people, and I believe they have heard the cries of those people, because me as the area councillor, I'm just showing the concern over the welfare of my people. Because yes, somebody will say, no, let them go back to the market. Which market?
When approached, Siders declined to comment on the matter. However, Council Public Relations Officer Bulambanyambe says the traders are illegally occupying the area and the law provides for a process to appeal against the authorities' decision.
Whether or not somebody lodged in a complaint, it's neither here nor there. The issue here is that when you do something illegal, an illegality remains an illegality. So these traders have been given 28 days within which to appeal. That is, if you are not happy, if you are not satisfied with what has happened, so let them appeal within 28 days. We should be able to have a round table with them and then discuss the way forward.
For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU, says it is concerned with the non-implementation of the minimum wage revised by the Ministry of Labour in 2022. ZCTU President Blake Mulala says it is unfair that domestic workers have continued getting the same low salaries in the beaten economy. In December last year, government, through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, revised upwards the minimum wages for domestic workers to 1,300 kwacha, and shopkeepers and general workers was revised to 2,700 kwacha, which was expected to be effected at the beginning of January 2023.
In December of 2022, government, through the Minister of Labour and Social Security, revised upwards the minimum wages for domestic workers, shopkeepers and general workers. Minister of Labour and Social Security, Brenda Tambatamba, informed the nation that in accordance with the statutory instrument number 69 of Domestic Workers Order of 2018, the gross pay for domestic workers would move from 993 kwacha 16 ngwe to 1,300 kwacha. She added that statutory instrument number 70 of Shopkeepers Order of 2018, drivers, sales assistants and packers would earn a gross pay of 2,722 kwacha 57 ngwe from 1,994 kwacha 14 ngwe. The revised minimum wage was to be in effect beginning January 2023. However, over 7 months later, the minimum wage has not been implemented this far.
The most problem from Zambia, labor laws, tilibe. We are working to Indian people, but they are giving us at 1.5 as a drive. Which can't. If you complain that no, we have already bought the laws of Zambia. So we are not caring, but we are just speaking because our leaders, what they have, they don't follow their rules. They are acting challenge. They come as women, as people who can help us, but after giving them jobs, they are out of us. So we don't know where we are going. We just the hand of God in this side of Zambia.
Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU President Blake Mulala, is cognizant of this matter.
We also await to hear from government, because this is a government-driven, though not alone, but with the tripartite partners. And these are trade unions, where we are coming from, and the other stakeholders are the Federation of Employers. So we await to hear from government as to when this minimum wage is going to be implemented. And it's also of interest to us because we know that the members who fall under this category, it has been quite too long, since 2018 when we had the last review of it.
The cost of living for a family of 5 in Lusaka, as measured by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, for the month of August 2023 is at 9,267 kwacha 34 ngwe, and yet no stringent measures to improve the cost of living have been outlined by powers that be. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Timber Producers Association of Zambia President Charles Masenge has questioned the legitimacy of the Memorandum of Understanding that has been signed between the Zambian government and the Chinese company for the cultivation of a carbon sink amounting to 4 million hectares of forest in Zambia. The MOU has also included the establishment of 100,000 hectares of slash pine plantation. Mr. Masanga tells Camnet News that the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, Dr. Dauti Chiramba, needed to have gone with a consent and a communique from the people of Zambia concerning that such huge piece of land needed to have been given away. He says government also needed to have indicated how the minerals that may be found on the said piece of land will be treated.
In the MOU, JFIDLCL has committed to cultivate a carbon sink of 4 million hectares of forestry from Zambia, and including the establishment of 100,000 hectares of slash pine plantation. While we appreciate this huge investment, let us clock back and look at the huge tract of land that will be given to this investor. Is it positive or negative to Zambia? Comrades, brothers, we appeal to government to be taking a bottom-up approach in every investment negotiation and not a top-down approach. This investment, China is almost 50 years ahead of us in terms of civilization. So at negotiation time, we should be able to include consultative forums with the Zambians. In this 4 million land we are about to surrender to China, where we have signed an MOU, there are a lot of precious stones, sweetlite, gold, diamonds, you can name it. Have we taken care of, have we protected such minerals from being exploited by a foreign company? We have just to look above the nose before we sign the MOU.
The University of Zambia historian Bizek Piri has urged the Patriotic Front PF to host its extraordinary convention to elect leaders if the party is to survive in the opposition. In an interview with Camnet News, Professor Piri says PF in its form does not have a formal structure, as legitimate leaders will only be placed after the convention. Meanwhile, Material Member of Parliament, who is also PF presidential candidate nominee, VOWS SAMPA, has vowed to explore legal action against Given LUBINDA and RAPHAEL NAKACINDA for what he terms contempt of court, after the former appointed the latter, among others, to party positions amidst a court injunction. More in the following report.
Renowned historian Bizek Piri has urged the Patriotic Front PF to hold its general conference in order to elect new legitimate leaders into the party leadership. Professor Piri says currently PF is an informal organization with people of like minds coming together. On Monday, the holding of the long-awaited event was cast in further doubt when acting President Given LUBINDA could not give an exact date for the convention.
As the date when we should have held the Constitutional Conference. Unfortunately, that date coincided with Mutomboko and the celebration of the centenary of Minga Mission. And we put off that Constitutional Conference. The Central Committee is yet to sit to decide on the sequencing of the two.
Speaking in an interview with Camnet News in a phone interview, Professor Piri says the party should practice democracy as it aims to remain a vibrant opposition political party in the country.
Where they are not coming up with elected leaders, that actually weakens the party. So what I can say is that this is sometimes what is to former parties actually collapsing and going into opposition.
Okay.
So in other words, what I'm saying is that let the PF go to a convention, elect leaders, and those groups, they should not say because I've lost, I've left the party. No, they should be committed to their party. And they should be focusing on what is it that we can do to get back power and form a government. But at the state at which they are, they can't. Because, it's like it's just a collection of individuals supporting each other very well. So that is a serious challenge for politics.
Taking to social media late Monday afternoon, outspoken Patriotic Front PF Material Member of Parliament, VOWS SAMPA vowed to take on the current PF leadership for what he terms contempt of court.
And Honorable Linda, who is facing a contempt on the same matter, decides to appoint another one, Honorable NAKACINDA, who is facing a contempt. So it's double contempt. If they are found guilty, then they will say the courts are what? This case is under Judge Katenekwa. and those who have interest should follow up. I've asked my lawyers to guide me when is the next hearing.
For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, has called on government to cancel their alleged appointment of French ambassador-designate to Zambia on allegations of same-sex marriage. EFZ Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda says the allegation leveled against French ambassador-designate to Zambia compromises the country's moral values. Meanwhile, Opposition Citizens First President Harry Kalaba worries that the alleged acceptance of the appointment of the French ambassador-designate to Zambia compromises the country's constitution. Let's get the details in this report.
Not heard me. We did not go there to talk about lesbian rights. We did not go there for that. We did not go there for what I've just said. This is the point I want to make, and make emphatically. No one went for an agenda of those issues. The Constitution provides for those issues.
Despite this stance, issues relating to same-sex marriages in Zambia have for a long time sparked debate on what values the country stands for. Successive governments have tested the bitterness of resolving this issue. Politicians advance the issue to discrediting one another, while such acts are considered normal in other countries. In Zambia, it is illegal. As such, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia has advised the government to cancel the alleged appointment of a French ambassador designated to Zambia on allegations of same-sex marriages. Bishop Mwenda says such acts compromise the beliefs of Zambia.
So forth, we cannot accept that. We know and we have the information that this gentleman, he is a man and he is married to a fellow man, and as Zambia we don't believe that is right. We believe that it goes against first and foremost the values of this country, of this nation rather, of the people of Zambia. It's not right. The second thing is that the President of the Republic of Zambia sought to protect the Constitution of Zambia, and it's against the Constitution, against the law, or the highest law of this country.
Opposition Citizens First President Harry Kalaba adds his view with a caution for the current administration to act on the matter or review any alleged conditionalities attached to the appointment of a French ambassador designate to Zambia.
Zambia might be poor, but Zambia must safeguard its territorial integrity. Zambia must safeguard its Christian values. Zambia must safeguard its constitution. And the number one person to safeguard the interests of this country must be the president. So anything that is going to allow Mr. MAFART in our country, we will take it that this is the new dawn UPND policy, that homosexuality in this country can be accepted, because then they are accepting a homosexual, open homosexual guy to come and become an ambassador from France. They must reject this. And if their conditionality is tied to such kind of things, it's high time that the government reviewed those conditionalities and backed out, because we will not support that.
When reached for a comment, Ministry of Foreign Affairs could not provide a response to this journalist. In September 2022, Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Chuck Mwimbu announced the arrest of 18 people for same-sex activity. According to the Penal Code of Zambia, Section 158 criminalizes acts of gross indecency both between men and between women with a maximum. According to the Penal Code of Zambia, Section 158 criminalizes acts of gross indecency both between men and between women with a maximum penalty of 14 years imprisonment. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Christian Democratic Party, CDP, has accused President Hakainde Hichilema of avoiding to reappeal the Public Order Act to continue using the piece of legislation to curtail freedoms of the opposition in the country. Last year, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security commenced the repeal and replacement of the Public Order Act with a public gathering bill, but the process has stalled at the report stage by the Law Development Commission. Speaking during a press briefing Tuesday, CDP President Daniel Pule claims President Hichilema is using the Public Order Act to persecute the former First Family and preventing the opposition from freely holding their meetings. Dr. Pule has since called on President Hichilema to honor his election promise to repeal the Public Order Act.
The Christian Democratic Party, CDP, has joined some stakeholders in condemning the cancellation of a church service that was planned to host former President Edgar Lungu over the weekend on the Copper Belt. CDP Party President Daniel Pule has termed the incident as selective application of the Public Order Act, calling on the church in the country to condemn the act.
As CDP, we condemn the selective application of the Public Order Act against those sympathetic to the opposition. In particular, the former President Edgar Lungu. We call upon the Zambian clergy and the church to remain united and to stand together in the face of this persecution by the apparent policy state of President Hakainde Hichilema.
Speaking during a press conference Tuesday, Dr. Pule accused President Hakainde Hichilema of avoiding to repeal and replace the Public Order Act.
Mention here that our party officials are mobilizing for our party in Chadiza this morning tried to hide because of the interference of the UPND cadres together with their chairman, who even summoned our officials who are organizing these meetings for us in Chadiza in Eastern Province.
Meanwhile, Dr. Pule has urged President Hakainde Hichilema to reject appointed French ambassador to Zambia, Jean MAFART, as he is a non-homosexual, which is a legal act in Zambia.
It's going to create problems. And it will, I know he has the numbers in Parliament, but that is a basis for impeachment if he allows a non-clear case of an homosexual man married to a man to come and be accredited to Zambia.
For Camnet News, Hafias Kaptula, Lusaka.
An Assistant Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Nkua, has told the Lusaka High Court that Given Piri and Marlon Banda, who are accused of being behind the gassing incident, consented to give an interview to the police. Monday, Judge Koren Mwenda ordered for a trial within a trial to ascertain whether statements allegedly given by the duo were freely and voluntarily given to the police. This is in a matter where former President Edgar Lungu's economic advisor, Chris Zumanizimba, and 3 others are facing 3 counts of being in possession of terrorism articles, procuring of terrorism articles, and aiding of terrorism acts. The accused is standing trial alongside Given Piri, Marlon Banda, and Potiphar Gwai in connection with the 2020 gassing incidents.
I need to be believed because I'm an angel. These were the words Assistant Commissioner of Police, based at Muchinga Division Headquarters, Kenneth Nkua, told the Lusaka High Court Tuesday morning when he was questioned during cross-examination by Defense Counsel Makebi Zulu on who the court should believe between his word and that of the accused. The High Court heard witness testimony in a mini-trial in a case where former President Edgar Lungu's economic advisor, Chris Zumanizimba, and 3 others are facing 3 counts of being in possession of terrorism articles, procuring of terrorism articles, and aiding of terrorism acts. On Monday, the 11th of September 2023, Judge Koren Mwenda ordered for a trial within a trial to ascertain whether statements allegedly given by Marlon Banda and Given Piri were freely and voluntarily given to the police. This was after the defense team led by Makebi Zulu raised an objection in order to establish circumstances in which the police warn and caution statements were given by the duo. Trial within trial is a mini-trial within the context of the main trial. It is a procedure in criminal law wherein the confession statement of an accused person is subjected to trial scrutiny so as to determine whether the statement was freely and voluntarily made by the accused person to the police. During cross-examination this morning, Mr. Nkua indicated to the court that after the accused were apprehended by police, they were informed of being charged with an offense in relation to the gassing incident. He also informed the court that there was no warn and caution statement as it was done verbally. This was after Defense Counsel Makebi Zulu requested that the said warn and caution statement be produced before court. Chris Zumani Zimba is standing trial alongside Given Piri, Marlon Band and Potifangawa in connection with the 2020 gassing incident, an offense which he and his co-accused have denied before the courts of law. However, the allegations that the accused are facing before court is non-bailable. Hence, they continue to remain in custody until the conclusion of their trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Executive Dean in the School of Postgraduate Studies at the University of Lusaka, Professor Mlenga Jere, has advised young people to prioritize innovation as a way of solving many challenges facing the world today. Speaking on return from an educational trip to Israel, Professor Jere also says there is need to expose students to practical lessons as a way of motivating them. And Pesi Liambela, a student at UNILAS, says he is motivated after seeing what other innovators are doing to solve some of the problems in their country.
This program from which these students are drawn is the Executive MBA in Leadership and Innovation. And one of the most important things about our programs at the University of Lusaka is that we want to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And this study tour was part of those efforts to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And so what happened over the last 1 week or so is that our students were exposed not only to theory but to practical insights by people who are in the trenches of innovation and entrepreneurship.
And I thank the staff at UNILAS who thought that they should package the program the way they've packaged it. And I'm sure with my colleagues behind here, if we can put our heads together and all of us will resolve to do something for this country, I can only assure you that watch the space.
The trip to Israel has really changed our mindset in order to bring out on the table as students as well. We hope as we graduate, we want to come up with an innovation center that we are going to, because we have been exposed to this world, and we're going to seek for things like CDL, the government coming in to support this.
You're watching the main news on Camnet TV. We now take our first set of commercials. Do join me with more news after the break. Don't go away.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh.
smells so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you for staying with us. We now continue with the rest of the news. Some residents of Solwezi district in Kimale Ward have continued trekking miles to access potable drinking water in the area. One of the residents, only identified as Mrs. Musamba, says the ward is spending sleepless nights as it continues to draw water, especially at night, from a nearby named company. Mrs. Musamba has since appealed to the local authority to provide the residents with piped water if possible or sink a borehole in the area. And Solwezi Mayor Remy Kalepa assured the affected residents that the local authority is determined to provide water to all the people in the ward.
Keti mutene ngevene basebeza bapuisha mino bufukuma 20 twatende kutunta mema mkampani wa Afrika kabijinge kyakumane kai aye pakasibe twatapra nkusanireni aba tama block bazina crash popa ma Chinese koko tutunta mema so pare pananga kufuma popo kwamba tuye kuno kifumishimo wa pape bakifita pare pa bingu tunta mema so katataka pape bufuku tutunta mema 20 hours fumya mkampani wa Afrika
wonse twaya mkushinkwa kwamba mushima wa iya kevyo yomukwa bubushya bo kevyo ke kumona mbaba meya ni ba council ni government wa ba UPA ndo ba president akaini ke bamba buberene so yomamba makataje so kwamba komosa kuyamba ko twafuma ba meya ba pana mushima ni ateka kuno byo twafuma utiwa bula ba meya mba kuno mushima kafwa so ba meya bekisende ba ombo bakaleta mushi na mushima jikishi.
In other news, a mental health activist has observed the lack of priority in addressing mental health issues in the country by the Ministry of Health. Namatama LUBINDA says there is need to realign the country's mental health agenda and says the upcoming recruitment of 3,000 health workers does not show priority of mental health officers being part of the exercise. But Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary in charge of administration, Professor Christopher Simonga, says at least progress is being made to champion mental health issues as general health practitioners possess the capabilities.
First of all, I'd like to commend the government for the move on recruiting health workers and also for including those clinical officers in psychiatry who have diplomas. But there is a huge gap in this, because what happens to those with degrees, the medical licentiates in psychiatry? And also, I think the move is not completely helpful, because who is going to regulate these jobs? There is a need to have provincial representatives, district representatives in terms of mental health, because even if they are recruiting these mental health workers, besides, even mental health nurses haven't been listed on that recruitment plan. So who is supposed to work hand in hand with those clinical officers, psychiatry, that they are recruiting? There is need for more seriousness from the Ministry of Health. We understand that they are doing something, but they are not doing enough.
To go in the details, even medical doctors, there are psychiatrists in there. Because even those clustered numbers like doctors, some of them are psychiatrists. So the numbers may not be adequate for everyone, but there is something to buy for.
The Private Security Companies Association of Zambia has urged Vendetta to consider hiring local security firms as it resumes operations at Konkola Copper Mines KCM. Association President Francis Mukuka says local private security companies have been left out in contracts in the mining sector as foreign counterparts continue to dominate. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mukuka says as Vendetta has promised to be a changed entity with a pledge of $1.2 billion investments into the mine, the private security sector should equally benefit.
Which they have signed. The 20% increment for all the workers is a welcome move, but let's hope also they honor the promises that they have made, not only on paper, but in actual sense, these people, they are not giving the workers what they have promised. Also on the security companies, we urge the Vendetta management to make sure that they engage the local security companies to make sure that they will safeguard our resources. They should not think of engaging foreign security companies, because we expect that these security companies is also an opportunity to do business with this new management. And this is our country, and this is the country that we can only do business. If now they will think of starting bringing foreign security companies to mine our resources, this is very, very uncalled for. We expect them that this time around they will engage our local security companies to manage the security affairs of the mines.
The Ministry of Education has advised adult citizens in the country to embrace the introduction of blended learning in order to improve literacy levels in the country. Ministry's Assistant Director, Directorate of Open and Distance Education, Dode Initu Kaluminya, says blended learning is important in transforming the country's development because education is an equalizer. Ms. Kaluminya has appealed to the adult citizens to desist from being ashamed to pursue the blended learning mode. Meanwhile, Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC Executive Director George Hamusunga says the time is now for citizens to respond to the call of ending illiteracy in the country.
Education is for all, so do not feel threatened, do not feel ashamed, do not be embarrassed. Education is an equalizer. Even in your old age, anyone can pick it up and learn, because the benefits of education are immense. The moment you break through to literacy, you are able to read, you are able to write, you are able to interpret things for yourselves, just basic things. Through literacy, you would find that the world will be a peaceful society to live in.
Continued in homes, and this is why now, coming out of COVID, as we celebrate now the Literacy Week, we are saying we need to ensure that we go the blended learning way. because then through blended learning, we will invest both in the face-to-face as well as in the alternative modes of education provision that entail us providing education in the homes to people through radio, through television, and also through online platforms. That becomes very, very important if we are to make our education system resilient.
Government, through the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has so far disbursed more than 57 million kwacha to farmers who supplied their grain to the agency in Central Province. Central Province Permanent Secretary Miuna Mwanakapwe disclosed the development to National Agriculture Information Services in Kabwe on Monday. Mr. Mwanakapwe has also reviewed that the agency has so far bought 10,396 metric tons from all satellite depots across Central Province. He has since noted with concerns that the current maize stock supplied by farmers to the agency remains as low as the FRA has not yet reached half of the total expected target. The Permanent Secretary has since called on farmers, especially those that benefit from the Farmers Input Support Program, feed their white maize to FRA.
Chivombo district so far has purchased 811 metric tons of white maize and payment of 4,543,560,000 has been done to Chivombo. Chisamba has purchased 941 metric tons, a payment of 5,269,040 kwacha. Kabwe, in terms of Kabwe district, is the lowest with 244 metric tons, and total payments of 1,365,000 have been made. Serenge, 5,808 metric tons, and a total payment of 32,525,920. You may also wish to know that Mukushi has purchased 1,857 metric tons, and a total crop value stands at 10,401,720. Kapirimposhi has purchased 734 metric tons. Total number of metric tons purchased in the province stands at 10,396 against 40,000 metric tons that we are supposed to purchase. That gives you a picture that we've got a deficit of 29,000 metric tons that we need to purchase between now and October. And my appeal to all our farmers, patriotism must come first, because when we sell to Food Reserve Agents, we are simply buttressing the aspect of food security in the country.
We now take our final set of commercials. I will be back with international and sports news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you for still staying with us. And now in international news, Amnesty International has accused multinationals of forced evictions, threats, intimidation and deception against local populations at cobalt and copper mining sites in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. In the report published Tuesday and entitled Fueling Change or the Status Quo, Amnesty and the DRC-based Initiative for Good Governance and Human Rights analyzed the human rights impact of 4 projects in the Kolwezi mining region southeast of the DRC. The 2 organizations believe that the race to expand these mining operations has led to the forced evictions of populations from their homes and fields. Here's a roundup of news across the borders.
Rights group Amnesty International has accused multinationals of forced evictions, threats, intimidation and deception against local populations at cobalt and copper mining sites in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. In the report published Tuesday, Amnesty and the DRC-based Initiative for Good Governance and Human Rights analyzed the impact of 4 projects in the Kolwezi mining region southeast of the DRC. The 2 organizations believe that the race to expand these mining operations has led to the forced eviction of populations from their homes and fields. Instead of benefiting from the growth of the mining sector, people living in the Kolwezi region are being forced to leave their homes and farmland to make way for the expansion of large-scale industrial mining projects, according to the report. The DRC is Africa's largest mining producer and supplies more than 70% of the world's cobalt, a crucial metal for batteries used in electronics and electric cars.
The first storm Libya has seen in decades brought record rainfall and destruction. The impact on eastern areas has been devastating, but in the city of Derna, catastrophic. 2 of the port city's major dams collapsed, sending walls of water into the city. Entire neighborhoods have been completely washed away.
Unfortunately, with the tail end of the Danielle storm, there has been a sudden, abrupt increase in the water load, which led to the total destruction of the major dam and the sudden flooding of the city, to the extent that about 4 square kilometers of the heart of the city have been eroded completely.
Authorities have struggled to reach Derna. It's feared hundreds have been killed.
I hardly believe that the photos are not able to describe the horrible situation in Derna. It's beyond control, it's beyond the abilities of the government and the national society and the people in the city. It's really devastating, and it calls upon the assistance from all the international actors.
Patients and staff were forced to evacuate several hospitals across eastern Libya. Many remain trapped in flooded areas.
The situation is horrible. It's extremely sad. There are people suffering from the floods, and we haven't been able to reach them.
Libya has been engulfed by political divisions for more than a decade. The country has 2 governments. That slowed down emergency assistance efforts. The parallel government in eastern Libya has announced a 2-day state of emergency, enforcing a curfew and calling for people to exercise caution if they leave their homes. The internationally recognized government in Tripoli declared eastern Libya a disaster zone. It sent teams of emergency workers from western Libya.
I've instructed the Ministry of Health and all relevant agencies to quickly provide assistance. Relief convoys will be dispatched to all cities affected by this incident. We will respond with all available resources.
Malik Traynor joins us now from Tripoli. And Malik, we know the numbers of missing dead are relatively difficult to confirm at this stage, but do we have any idea of how many people are still unaccounted for?
Well, according to officials in eastern Libya, it's thousands. So yesterday, we were seeing the officials in the Eastern Parallel government talking about 5,000 missing. That was from the Prime Minister. This morning and late last night, the Minister of Health from the Parallel government is estimating that number to reach 10,000. We're seeing unconfirmed reports of 3,000 people accounted for dead in the city of Derna. That number, and thousands still missing. But authorities have not been able to reach the city. The roads leading into Derna are blocked off or destroyed because of the flooding. So until authorities are able to reach the city and assess the damage and account for the dead and the missing, we're not going to know the number for sure.
I mean, if officials and authorities are finding it extremely difficult to get into the worst affected areas, what sort of aid are people there actually being able to access at this point in time?
Well, in other areas, not in the city of Derna, aid has begun to reach the people in need. I think first and foremost, I mean, those that, their homes were destroyed need immediate shelter. They also need cash assistance, to be able to provide for their families.
And in sports news, Juventus midfielder finally suspended by Italy's National Anti-Doping Tribunal after returning an adverse sample. The France international tested positive for testosterone in a random drug test following Juventus' Serie A game against Udinese on August 20 when he was an unused substitute. After the Italian anti-doping body issued a statement on Monday evening confirming Pogba's suspension, Juventus said the club would now consider the next procedural steps. If found guilty of doping, a suspension of between 2 and 4 years could be handed out to Pogba.
Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba has been provisionally suspended by Italy's National Anti-Doping Tribunal after returning an adverse sample. The France international tested positive for testosterone in a random drugs test following Juventus' Serie A game against Udinese on August 20th, when he was an unused substitute. After the Italian anti-doping body issued a statement on Monday evening confirming Pogba's suspension, Juventus said the club would now consider the next procedural steps. If found guilty of doping, a suspension of between 2 and 4 years could be handed out to Pogba. Earlier on Monday, the former Manchester United midfielder said he was the victim of blackmail by an organized crime gang.
That item brings us to the end of our main news tonight, but before I go, let's take a look at the stories making headlines. Non-implementation of the revised minimum wage worries ZCTU. SAMPA vows to explore legal action against LUBINDA and RAPHAEL NAKACINDA. The church condemns the appointment of Jean MAFART as French ambassador to Zambia. In international news, Amnesty International says COBALT, a copper mining leading to forced evictions in DR Congo. And in sports news, Italy suspends Pogba after doping accusations. We now look at the verse of the day coming from the book of Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sylvia Zulu. On behalf of the entire Camnet News production crew, it's good night and God bless you.